In a world where everyone is looking for your money up front, doesn't it just make sense to check out a podcast that's looking to give you something for free? Like the music for your content and free music for your film and videos? Look no further. It's the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. Welcome back, everyone, to the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast. I'm your host, Tim Kulig, and welcome to 2024. Now, I'm actually recording this on Valentine's Day of 2024, so a month and a half have already gone by, and I've been on a bit of a hiatus from this podcast in the last 6 to 8 weeks, partially due to the fact that myself, Alex Nakarada, and Kevin MacLeod have been doing what's equated to like an every other week type of podcast now. So it's 3 composers. We call it Same But Different. And we talk about industry things, challenges, all sorts of fun stuff. So that's kind of taken some of my time. But also, I kind of got burnt out in December. I was stacking a bunch of things at the same time. And I was really trying to stay committed to my promise to myself that I was going to have published over 500 songs before the end of the year, and I breached that number by 2 songs, which I was very excited about, and that's where I kind of collapsed. Not in the physical sense, but like in the mental sense. I was just like, I just need a break. I need to enjoy the holidays, not have any real agenda or, schedule of things to go on, and that ended up working out pretty well, because I started to really think about what I wanted to do 2024 and beyond, and scheduled my end of the year kind of huge planning thing. I do that once a year. I'll sit down and kind of reassess everything that had transpired the year before, and then take a look at the year before it starts and really think to myself, okay, what do I want to accomplish this year? Musically, personally, with friends and family, all that kind of stuff. Like what marks did I hit? What did I not hit? What relationships kind of fell to the sidelines? And yeah, nothing major, just like, hey, did I not pay as close attention to this, that, or the other thing? Or did I make myself a promise that I didn't keep? And do I want to recommit myself to that? Or was it something that you just need to abandon? Because, how many times do you go down a road and decide, okay, this looked really interesting. I saw this idea somewhere, and I started exploring it, and turns out it's not really for me. So you kind of just abandon it and move on. But sometimes it's not that, it's laziness. So I always like to reassess things at the end of a year, and that's really, I did that multiple times. I'm actually still not completely done, because I have a marketing plan that I'm trying to pull together this year, and I'm literally using tons of resources between online platform training and Score, which, if you guys don't know what that is, that's an amazingly strong, national resource for, entrepreneurs and business owners to use, that is typically, 25, 30 year business industry veterans that will literally just sit down with you and pick apart your business and decide with you like what your next steps should be, and just give you some guidance and stuff. And a lot of times it's free, or the classes are dirt cheap. They're $20, $25, that kind of thing. So definitely something to look into. What I did determine with my sit down is that I've got some accountability issues when it comes to my own content. I promote and get excited about other people's stuff, and I get really involved in the music production part of things and pushing albums and everything. But to truly grow as a musician, as an artist, as a composer, I know that I have to focus on consistent content. And I found that I came up short this past year, even though I recommitted a few times throughout the year, to produce videos and do various types of content. And I think I need to sit down and do kind of a marketing meeting with myself again, which, like I said, it's still outstanding. And I think it's still outstanding because I don't know where to start. And that's always fun. It's always fun when you're like, I know the end game, but I need to find the next 5 things I need to do right now to consistently do X, Y, and Z. Somebody recently told me about once a month, like at the beginning of the month, like the first Sunday or whatever, sit down for like an hour or two and plan out your content schedule for the month. So I think I'm going to try that out for March 1st and literally give myself a couple weeks here where I'm kind of just spitballing content creation for now. And then come March 1st, I'm going to start that new plan and consistently put things out and put out content that may or may not even reinforce the music that I'm releasing. I mean, part of it is about really just generating brand awareness and recognition. And sometimes that's teaching people how to use a certain aspect of Logic or exploring a new software VST and showing people how cool it is and like the kind of things you can make with it. So I want to do some demo videos. I want to do some how-tos. I want to do like a rapid video of a song from simple melodic concept to the finished product, that kind of thing. I think people would be interested in that. And I'm kind of excited about that. I think that there's definitely like 3 or 5 niches of video style that I want to plaster across YouTube and TikTok and Reels and that kind of thing. So it's just, there's so many platforms and so many different things you could be doing. And I just don't want to get lost in the shuffle of, not knowing what I want to do or who I want to be in that space. But at the same time, sometimes I feel like people put so much emphasis on that and so much emphasis on like, well, you got to have an idea of what you want to do. And you have to be consistent in that idea or else the algorithm, you know what? Fuck the algorithm. It doesn't, who cares? I think ultimately what you should do is what you want to do. So I'll probably do a lot of experimenting this year. And I hope that I can get some feedback from y'all as far as, my God, I am totally a Southern person now. I just dropped that without even thinking about it. I mean, growing up in Connecticut and being down here in Florida for 10 years, I'll drop that Southern thing every once in a while. And it makes me laugh at myself. Oh, it's too crazy. So definitely, number one, accountability and consistency this year. I'd love it if any and all of you that listen to this or support me or follow me would reinforce like, hey, even if it's just a simple, hey, we haven't seen anything from you. What's going on? What's going on in your world? Like that really, believe it or not, it's incredibly motivating, and I'll probably drop a half a dozen pieces of content just from somebody prodding me like that. So, be the irritant that creates more stuff for you to consume. Also, I've got 5 albums in the works right now. So one of the things I decided to do at the end of the year was find a way to consistently idea generate. So I've picked 2 days of the week, and I might do an actual piece of content about this for other creators. I've picked 2 days, Mondays and Fridays, I've picked as days that I will not finish a tune unless, unless for some reason I feel very compelled to continue to work on something. I'm not going to finish a tune on Mondays and Fridays. I'm going to sit down with sounds and software instruments and just play. And if something comes, then I'll start playing with that and I'll start laying down other tracks and ideas. And when the second it starts to get irritating or difficult, or I start compromising what I've started creating, save it, move on. And the idea is Mondays and Fridays to generate anywhere between 5 and 15 ideas, right? They may go nowhere. They may just be this little ditty. They may sit on my hard drive for a year. In fact, last year when I produced a couple albums, I literally picked tracks that I hadn't moved on in a long time, but there was something in there. There was some idea, some spark that I felt compelled to put down. And then I turn around 9 months, a year later, and all of a sudden, it's miraculously, I find a way to finish it, or I find a way to evolve the sound. So some people believe that, if you don't grab something at the spark when you first drop it down, that it's lost forever, or, you really got to develop something as much as possible in one sitting because you'll never experience that again. Well, as much as that's true, the truth is that you can build on any creativity anytime you want. I mean, there's plenty of painters that walk away from paintings and come back and finish them, as well as other visual and auditory art. So honestly, that's my process this year. I'm going to stick with it for at least a year and try to develop, because if you think about it, 5 ideas a day, 5 ideas minimum twice a week is 10 times 52 is 510 ideas, right? For the year. That's, more than halfway to 1,000 per year ideas for songs. Even if I use half of those, that's brilliant. It's brilliant that, I've come up with a couple hundred songs a year based on that alone. But chances are I'm going to do more than 5 ideas in a session. I'll probably do closer to 10. So if you're looking at 8 to 10, that's almost 1,000 a year. That's almost 1,000 song ideas a year. And then if half of those things manifest into something that I can actually use, then what we're looking at is a rapid growth of my catalog by the end of 2026 to close to 2,000 tunes, which is my goal. I really want to rapidly produce things over the next 3 to 4 years. So I think that's going to get me there. And I think some moral support and following will help me get there as well. Which brings me to the third item I wanted to talk about, which is my Patreon. I really haven't, I didn't de-emphasize this, but I hadn't emphasized focusing on that very much this past couple years. And this year kind of showed me that it's an area that I think I need to focus on more. And I also need to build community through as well. I've had a couple of gracious folks join me on Patreon that use my music in their podcasts and in their content. Thank you both very much for all that. Actually, it's more than 2 now. It's 4 or 5. And I really appreciate your commitment to my craft and adding it to your stuff. It's really awesome. And I want to build that community. And what I'm hoping to do is migrate this show into that. And now you can join the Patreon. You don't have to pay anything. So free membership is fine. I do have some paying subscribers there too. So both are appreciated. I just like the idea that it's going to be a central repository that I can release tunes through, and I can use that and embed it in different places, because there's other things coming this year as well that I want to jump into. And the Patreon platform is actually growing and expanding in a way that makes it much more conducive to building a fan base and an audience. There's like a chat function there. You can live stream. You can do a whole bunch of different things. And I definitely want to do song releases and whatnot throughout the year on there to keep it active, to keep people interested. And just because it is a platform for creators and people that are trying to build a following. And I just think something in the back of my craw is screaming to get involved with that, to focus on that more. So I'm going to be doing a campaign on my socials to encourage people to join. Please do. And again, there's no obligation for a paid subscriber or anything. There's a free button right on the main page. So it'll just give you updates anytime I post to there. So you'll know when I have a new album releasing or whatever. I mean, I typically do that on socials and everything anyway. But if you want to go to the source and find it and actually listen to it there, because it embeds on there, and It's easy to listen to, and you don't have to go out anywhere else. That's the one thing I like about it too, is that you can post things on there and embed it right into the platform, and you don't have to link out. I think sometimes people will like things on Reels or Instagram or Facebook just because they want to support you and they want to boost your post, but they don't actually link out because now you're going to another platform and it's another step. Whereas on Patreon, if there's an update and you get an email or a ping for it, you go straight to the page where the article is or where the thing is, and boom, like everything is there. Like either the podcast can be streamed right away or the music or whatever. So definitely going to be exploring and experimenting with that this year, and hopefully building more community there, because I really want to emphasize the fact that I want to support and help creators out there with the shift the fourth quarter of 2023 and the contraction of one of the main sites that I was getting all my music grabbed from, filmmusic.io, to just Sasha Ende's music there. It's really kind of contracted some of the traffic that I had gotten before. Now, granted, I still get a lot of traffic from Pixabay and SoundCloud, but this next item is a long time coming. So I am currently redesigning from the ground up my website, and it's going to be awesome. There's going to be a very robust musical database that's searchable by genre, by feel, everything. And it's going to have all the attribution language on there. So you literally just download the music, download the text, copy paste the text and just drop it into your YouTube videos or wherever. And it'll also have a shopping cart. So if you're looking for music and you can't give attribution and you need an extended license, well, there you go. You can literally just pop it into the shopping cart. The extended license will pop in there too. So, I mean, all that stuff is in the early stages of development. I'm anticipating that, like, the back end is almost finished, but it needs some exploration and some, error checking and everything else. So, in the coming weeks, that's likely going to happen, but I don't anticipate it being live until probably May sometime. And because of that, I have been pushing everybody to SoundCloud and Pixabay for my tunes for the time being. SoundCloud, if you're looking to have it organized in a way that you literally just are like, okay, here's an album that's horror, like a new one. I want to explore those tunes and just download those. And on my Patreon, there's a explanation, because SoundCloud can be a little squirrely as to how you actually get the music. There's if you go to the actual individual song, there's a little 3-dot ellipse on the right hand side of it. You click on that and the download button's there. So it's kind of nested, and that's the only thing that kind of discourages me. You can't just go to the track and just be like, oh, there's a download button right there. Like, you have to kind of go into this sub menu to grab it. And I have on my Patreon, I have an explanation with screenshots on how to do that. So if anybody has any issue with that or has a question about how to grab it or whatever, you just reach out to me. But those two platforms, there's still a ton of people grabbing it, using it for their content and everything. And I'm going to be reaching out to everybody that used my stuff so far that I've saved videos of on YouTube and in various social media. I mean, there's so many places. I mean, I distribute through DistroKid, and I get monthly reports, and my Instagram, Facebook impressions of songs are just growing exponentially. There's a couple of my horror tunes that monthly are like hundreds of thousands of hits, and I just have to go out there and do some searches on the actual songs, because I want to see who's using it for what, and I catch them every once in a while, but that's another thing I'm going to be emphasizing this year too, is hashtagging and tracking and everything, and trying to find ways to keep an eye on how the marketing is working and how people are using it and what they're looking to use and why, and just Just me saying all this stuff out loud, it feels overwhelming, but I gotta remember, you gotta chunk things, you gotta do things in like actionable chunks so that you can get to the goal. I mean, it may be 1,000 steps, but if you only take 10 steps a day, then, in 100 days, you're where you want to be. That's the crazy thing. It's just like 1,000 steps is nothing if you chunk it out at 1% a day. It's just crazy. But you just have to do it. It just has to be consistency. And this comes back to the first thing I said, which is, accountability for the consistency of everything you do. Sometimes you just get exhausted and you're like, I don't want to do it, And the truth is that those are the times when you get the most done, believe it or not, is when you muscle through it. Because that Monday, Friday that I've been doing with idea generation, I'll sit down and be like, I've got nothing in me. I'm exhausted. My coffee hasn't even kicked in yet. I'm just like, I just not interested. There's nothing that's popping for me musically or with the software instruments or whatever. And then suddenly I lay down something, and it's like the best thing I've written in 6 months. So really, showing up is 90% of the work. And if you walk away with anything from this episode, just know that showing up, you win. Most people don't show up. Okay? Most people don't show up. Most people talk the talk, but the walk just doesn't exist. They don't leave the house. They don't put their shoes on and get to the destination. So do it. Get out there and do that. Finally, I'm looking forward to the next few years here of creativity. I'm looking forward to how I can add value to content creators, to the people that enjoy my music. And what would be of utmost value to me is feedback. I know that most people will tell me that they follow the music, that they listen to the podcast, that they use the music and everything. But if I don't see something on social media, it's almost like a misnomer. Like I just don't know. I just don't know what's resonating with people and what isn't. And it's important because I do want to cater some of the creativity to what people are looking for. I mean, ultimately I do it for myself first. Ultimately, I'm making things that make me happy, and hopefully in turn, by extension of me doing something in that authenticity, it resonates with other people. Now, that being said, I know that there's needs out there. Like there's needs for, comedy music. There's always needs for that. There's always needs for horror, and my horror resonates a lot with people. So, I'll always relegate some of my creativity to that stuff and the meditation and everything else. But ultimately, I want to provide the value that people are looking for. So take the time, if you will, when you are out there and you're listening to things, and if something resonates, let me know. Let me know why. Let me know that, or just let me know like, hey, this is pretty cool. I dig this. I'm like, oh, okay. There's some elements to this that resonate with people. So it's so incredibly important and great to have that kind of feedback. And it's funny. I run into people that wait for and anticipate my updates and my releases, and I have no idea until I've had like a physical conversation or I meet them in person, and it's just very rewarding. So thank you all from the bottom of my heart for all the support so far. I hope you all have a fantastic 2024. Again, I'm looking to be more consistent this year. I don't know if I'm going to be doing the podcast once a week or not. It might be on a similar schedule to the same but different, and be more of like an every other week or twice a month. But ultimately, if I feel compelled to throw something out like this, it's probably going to be short and sweet, like an update on something, or it's going to be specific to some need out there. But I think I'm going to be more consistent this year because I've got some very ambitious goals over the next couple years, and I hope you join me for the journey. Thanks again for checking in. Thanks again for supporting Tim Kulig Free Music, and I hope to see you next time on the Tim Kulig Free Music Podcast.